Hello, Speed Gaming Live. How's everybody doing tonight? My name is Hebbinks, and we are about to start our first round of our Mystic Quest Randomizer tournament. Sorry about that. Had a bit of a hiccup there. Our match tonight is going to be between Chanigan and CzaR. And joining me on the mic tonight for commentary is X10 Power. Power, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good.
Awesome. Love to hear it. So, while we go ahead and get ready to kick off, we got about a minute or two before the race begins. 10, would you like to go over our settings for tonight's seed?
Yes, so tonight is a standard logic seed. So the only thing that's guarding you from between each region are the coins. You have availability to get to every single chest and every single map in the game. All chests including the brown and the red chest. So any item could be anywhere. So what do you think a key item is? It could be a chest of potion. The NPCs, the battlefields are prioritized, so most likely they're going to be holding something good. If not, better luck next time. The weapon they start with is random, so it can be the sword, the claw, the bomb, or the axe. One of the basic 4 weapons. The enemy density is at 50%, so you only see half the enemies, but they're scaled from 50% to 125, so it can be half as weak as vanilla, or just a quarter more powerful than vanilla. And for the boss, it's 100 to 150, so they're either vanilla or vanilla times 0.5. The enemies also have simple shuffle, so they can have other attacks besides what Dark Cane has. I'm going to double check myself. Yes. Let me actually read the tooltip here. Instead of randomizing, shuffle one monster's attack to another, and Dark Cane is left out. And then for Doom Castle, it's Dark King only. So once they get the go ahead and they're in go mode, they're going to the final boss. They're skipping go and going straight to the final boss.
Yep, our go mode tonight is going to be pretty close to a standard go mode. Since we are doing Save the Crystals, our Sky Coin is going to be locked behind the final major boss to defeat on the overworld. Our major bosses are going to be Skullorus Rex, Ice Golem, dual-headed Hydra, and Pazuzu. Everything else our runners are going to need are a sword, Dragon Claw, Mega Grenades, Thunder Rock, Captain's Cap, Mobius Crest, and if they don't have the Sun Coin, they will need the multi-key to get them access to Windia. Both of our runners starting off strong here, getting their Libra Crest and Sand Coin out the gate, and they're starting with axes, so they can go ahead and full clear level forest here, check all the chests before they leave. And CzaR has been rewarded with a Moon Helmet. That is going to be essential for the final boss. 10, would you like to go ahead and let anybody who's watching who hasn't seen the randomizer know about the Dark King changes?
So basically in vanilla game, there's a glitch where you can use Cure and overthrow his health. That's taken out in this, so you have to do the whole standard fight, meaning you have to survive the entire fight, sometimes even as well as level 16, where you can get one shot instantly. So it's a very difficult fight. You can spend easily 10 to 20 minutes on it, depending on how many times you have to attempt.
Yep. Chanigan going ahead and grabbing Tristram as quickly as possible. There is quite a few item reward battlegrounds here in Forest. I think every battleground here rewards an item this seed. Interesting rollout. For those who might not be aware, with the battlefield reward shuffled, we had to add a visual indicator of what a battlefield holds as a reward. It'd be kind of bad if you shuffled all the rewards and it didn't have some sort of indicator. So blue battlegrounds are going to reward our runners with key items this tournament. Green battlefields are going to give our runners money, and gray battlefields are going to give our runners XP, and already being rewarded with some good loot here. Chanigan and CzaR both picking up Cupid Locket. That's going to be essential for the final boss as well, since they will that confusion resistance is going to be essential for getting past webs.
And it also helps in general game as well, because it prevents blind as well.
Looks like both of our runners are going to go ahead and opt for some battlefield clearage before dipping into Bone Dungeon. So this gives us a little bit of time to talk about some more changes that have been going on with the randomizer from the vanilla game. You might have noticed that our runners are moving at twice the speed they would normally run in the vanilla game. That is because a speed hack has been added natively to the randomizer. Also, you might notice that Ben isn't Ben. In the randomizer, you have an option to choose a custom sprite that does not impact logic at all, so it will not affect the randomization or the seed settings or the hash or anything like that. Chanigan has opted for an airship, I believe, pulled from Final Fantasy IV, while CzaR is running for a
I believe that's the fight. I think that's the fighter from Final Fantasy Legend.
Yes, I believe so. And Chanigan has his river coin from that battleground. Now has a bit more options available for after he clears out Bone Dungeon. If he opts to clear out Bone Dungeon, he could dip out, go grab another partner, and then come back to Bone Dungeon. Although he will be missing his Tristram check if he does do that.
Personally, I always like to just dive into Bone Dungeon just to see what Tristram gives you. And then depending on what I get, if I'll dive out or not, or go through the whole dungeon.
Yeah, another factor for our runners is they might have to only do the Tristram check like you mentioned because they don't have explosives yet. Explosives are essential for getting through the rest of Bone Dungeon. You can't get past the door where you first talk to Tristram without explosives. So no reward there, but Dragon Claw, that's going to be huge for our runners. Early Dragon Claw is going to be great and awful at the same time. This opens up a ton of exploration for them, but that does also mean that their go mode items could potentially be locked behind Giant Tree.
Commentator's curse, please.
Maybe. Tristram handing out a gas mask. No explosives today for our runners. So yeah, logically, if our runners had not picking up Dragon Claw yet, and it was like their last go mode item pickup, that would usually mean that Giant Tree is now off the table. However, that is not the case. And I don't believe Chanigan went back and full cleared the rest of Level Forest. I think he just kind of grabbed his key items and dipped. So CzaR has a bit of an advantage armor-wise over Chanigan by having fire resistance. Both of our runners get rewarded with Gaia armor, though, which is going to give them immunity from a poison, from sleep, and give them resistances to wind, water, and lightning. So a very great pickup for both of our runners. And a sword. This has been a fairly friendly seed to start with. Let's see how this turns on.
Someone has to go wrong somewhere at some point.
Speaking of things that could go wrong, Chanigan opting for the more dangerous path, going into Fireberg first. This could be a good reward or a terrible, terrible curse. Looks like he contemplated taking on that battlefield with Tristram 1, and then it was like, no, let's go pick up our boy Ruben.
Now, if it was the first battlefield, I would do it. The second two, I'll wait to get Ruben and then go back for the safety net.
Well, thankfully for our runners, that battlefield is only trees. Literally, it's like a 1, 2, or 3 tree fight, which Ruben's Morningstar is axe element, so it's great against. But those trees can be nasty, and we haven't touched on it too much yet, but if our keen-eyed viewers might be able to notice that enemies aren't exactly using the moves that they normally use. That's because we have an enemy attack shuffle turned on, aka an enemizer, and Chanigan has decided to not purchase a Cat Claw downgrade for 500 GP. Probably a wise move on his part.
Well, you never know. Well, they do have the Dragon Claw, I know, but I had to have some fun. I had the Cat Claw too.
For our 100%ers in the chat, don't worry. If you have the final tier of equipment, you basically have all the bonuses that you would have from having the other tiers as well, and you can just go. Our runners are just basically skipping ahead.
Yo, let's do say you do pick up the final one, then you pick up the first one. Just hit L and R, and you're back to having the final equipment again.
Correct. So it will temporarily override your equipment, but not. White handing out Aegis Shield at Libra Temple. CzaR is basically in-game kitted out with armor. He doesn't need the bubble helmet. It's great to have, but he doesn't need it. And opting to go to Aquaria first. Let's see if this pans out for CzaR. Meanwhile, Chanigan making short work of these trees, getting a battle access as his reward. Not something I would have stopped to get personally, or like to have gotten if I'd stopped at that battlefield and taken on those 4 fights. But rando gonna rando, what are you gonna do? Meanwhile, our Aquaria vendor selling the Gemini crest, that is gonna offer access to the sealed temple if our runner so desired, and at 200 GP, it's a pretty cheap purchase.
No, I gotta say, all these axes, I want to ask these runners some questions.
Speaking of asking questions, did you see if CzaR picked up his Knight Sword?
No, I did not. I was hoping you'd go through the weapons at some point soon.
And there's our explosives from Phoebe. Best girl doing best girl things, handing out one of the most versatile pieces of equipment in our runner's arsenal tonight. Even though they're level 1 bombs, not only are they basically required for all of dungeon exploration, I think every dungeon requires some sort of bomb functionality in some way, shape, or form.
No, I don't make a call out with Chanigan getting his captain's cap. Oh,
yeah. Good eye on that one. That is going to be essential for our runners. It's also really nasty logically because it could be placed anywhere, even on Mac's ship. So, like finding a needle in a haystack, Chanigan has basically hit the lottery by checking out Volcano. Let's hope that CzaR doesn't skip Volcano, but also getting rewarded with the worst spell in the game, Quake. We'll never see him use that. And chat chiming in about saying go fast, go, go, go fast, go fast, go, go. Indeed,
and go fast.
We are looking to go fast. Meanwhile, CzaR doubling up on his explosives, immediately getting his jumbo bomb upgrade. Looks like Aquaria is the place to be, though Chanigan does have a little bit up on CzaR in terms of go mode required items. And I am going to assume that CzaR also picked up his river coin after he cleared out all of his battlegrounds in Foresta.
Yeah, we were talking, and I always lose track easily.
It's okay.
Luckily, we do have that tooltip, which does help. That shows the item in the lower right-hand corner, like the Mobius quest and Chanigan's side.
Yeah, it looks like Fireberg is the place to be for go mode items. Now, that being said, even if Chanigan does hit go mode, I don't know if he'll be feeling comfortable enough to dip out straight to his bosses yet, and he is a little sparse on offensive power. No major spells have been picked up offensively yet. I've noticed Fire and Quake, no wizard spells, no white spells.
No access to a second buddy besides Tristram 2, which doesn't count. You want at least like Kyrie 2 or Phoebe 2, or even Ruben 2.
Meanwhile, CzaR running straight for Ice Pyramid, probably looking to get an early Ice Golem clear. Phoebe 1 will be basically like vanilla strength going into this dungeon, with Ben being a little bit on the weaker side, but it could be a key play if Ice Golem rolls 100%. And speaking of rolling 100%, I did want to go ahead and use this as a great segue to our settings for enemies. X10, if you would be so kind to explain the enemy stat variance.
Okay, so standard enemies can go from 50%, so half as powerful, to 150%, so 1.5 more powerful. So they can be dealing no damage, or they can one-shot you.
Yeah, that's also going to make them a little more beefy on the HP side of things. Meanwhile, bosses scale a little bit differently. They won't be as they won't be stronger or weaker because of the way the game is coded. But we have boss scaling set between 100 to 150%, which means that they can have 100% of their vanilla HP, or they can be extra chunky at 150% of their vanilla HP. And CzaR picking up his Sun Coin, giving him access to Windias. So after he basically grabs another partner, he could go straight for Phoebe 2. I was wondering if he was going to dip out immediately and go make that upgrade. We'll see what he decides to do. Also a little distracted by the tracker not playing nice with CzaR Stark Skyquake. There it goes. It was
Yeah,
either it was invisible or it wasn't highlighting. I was trying to get it to work while talking at the same time. Venus Shield, essentially what we would call a dud check in this situation, since he already has the best shield in the game. Getting the Venus Shield is basically like opening an empty chest at this point. A little bit of a waste, but it's rando. You got to check all the red chests you can.
And Chanigan having a fun time with Jen.
Doesn't look too nasty and looks to have most of his vanilla moveset. A lot of fire going on, which is actually great for Ruben. It's the only resistance in the game he has. Bless his little heart. The man hits like a truck, and he's got a great spell set at the end of the game with life and white. The only spells you really need for a partner to have. But my boy has no status ailment immunities at all. He can be put to sleep. He can be confused, paralyzed, you name it. Fire resistance is his only claim to fame, and thankfully coming in clutch here is Jin, playing to those strengths.
Yeah, it's one thing if you have like Phoebe going to this fight. Oof. Even Phoebe 2 can get knocked out pretty fast with Jen casting fire like that.
Ooh, Chanigan just picked up 2 really great items. So since he didn't stop and get the moon helmet, I don't think he's going to go back to back to level forest to go pick it up. And it's going to work out for him since he just picked up the Apollo helmet, the best upgrade in the game. No explosives yet on Chanigan's side, though. Accidentally marked that one. But no explosives yet means that Chanigan can't check the rest of mines. But he can now upgrade Ruben to Ruben 2. So he's going to go in here, grab Tristram, and then immediately go pick up our homebody to upgrade him to Ruben 2. Having life is also a great boon to our runners, which means that if their partners fall, it's not immediately a wipe, a slow and painful death. They can now have a chance to pick up their partners and continue the fight.
Yo, I have to say, picking up seeds and spending all your money is kind of risky this early in the seed.
Looks like Chanigan doesn't want to take any chances on running out of spell slots. Doesn't want to be bogged down with having to duplicate any seeds. Just wants to go straight for it. That being said, enemy placement and Lava Dome could potentially make him back all that money. The enemies drop a decent amount of GP in here, so this could work out for him. And with Ruben 2 in tow, this is going to be a pretty clean Lava Dome, all things considered. Ben's probably going to come out of this at what, like 15, you think?
I'm saying 14.
14, 15? That sounds about right. I did see the little bit of the grimace from Chanigan doing something that all of us have done before, which is trying to step to the right or the left as soon as you walk into Lava Dome, only to realize that that tile is an exit tile. Wasting a little bit of time there. You can only feel bad for yourself when you do it.
That or when you're a kid and you go into Lava Dome and you get lost and you go up there and you have to refight all the fights.
Chanigan getting a dud check of his own. The magic ring is the piece of equipment you would get prior to the Cupid locket, so no benefits there. Chanigan also doesn't have mega grenades, so if there's anything locked behind our 2 mega grenade checks, he will have to potentially dip back to come back and grab those. Thankfully, the life chest was a brown box this time, so nothing in there, but there is also the moon helmet check. That could potentially have a red chest for our runners. Meanwhile, CzaR making some clean progress here. What would you say, a decent pace making it through the ice pyramid here?
Yes. Already on the 5th floor, about to drop down to where you'll find the ice golem the first time.
Yeah, my only concern with CzaR is it looks like he's gambling on brown boxes to get seeds. And I don't think he's won the lottery yet. So he could be low on spell charges going into the golem fight here. Looks like CzaR opted to run out of that fight with Phoebe being confused. I don't blame him. That is a nasty fight, and I would not want to be KO'd by Phoebe or have her potentially waste a spell charge. Chanigan also taking his chances here on that 3-box cluster. No seeds for either of our runners, unfortunately.
Like, if the chest is like right next to you, might as well check it. If you get a seed, that can save you minutes easily.
True, but every seed check is a second or 2 lost going in. Do both of our runners have seeds, chat? I'll have to double check when CzaR pauses. Speaking of pausing though, CzaR has picked up Thunder Rock, so a great find for him go mode wise. If he finds mega grenades, that's going to give him everything he needs to go ahead and check Spencer's place in Windia instead of having to thaw at Aquarium, potentially check Spencer's cave via the long walk of shame under Phoebe's house.
And I do want to note that Chanigan did pick up the magic mirror, so when he goes into the ice pyramid, he'll be able to see all the enemies.
Yeah, that's gonna mean no playing like classic Final Fantasy, no mystery bumps here, just straight up navigating, grabbing things you want. Chanigan, having to double back here, faded a check up the northern section of this room, and turns out there's a red chest, and you know as well as I do that red chest could have nothing or could have everything you want in it. So
yeah, it can have a multi-key.
Yeah.
That would be very benefit for Chanigan then.
It could have mega grenades. It could have my hopes and dreams.
Wait, we're allowed to have those?
Only a little bit. Hey, commentator's blessing coming in here. Chanigan, X10 willing the multi-key into Chanigan's inventory here. That is also going to give Chanigan access to Windia if he wants it. So no longer needing to be forced to go to Aquaria, pick up his Sun Coin. He could just go straight to Windia after he upgrades Phoebe if he wants. Tin can out of that red chest. You hate to see it. That helmet is garbage. It literally only gives you like 1 defense and evasion each or something like that. It's not very good. And our runner and Chanigan already has the Apollo helmet. Meanwhile, CzaR started his ice golem fight here. Let's hope the golem is not too nasty. I did not get a chance to check and see if CzaR had seeds to refill spell slots.
Correct me if I'm wrong here. Wouldn't fire do more damage?
But I believe so, but I think CzaR is playing it conservative just so he can go ahead. If he doesn't have seeds, he can get through phase 1 and 2 before the healing attack can go off.
Fair enough.
Yeah, although I do think I saw Phoebe with full charges, so I do believe Chad is right. Yeah, and CzaR has seeds here, so...
Yes, he had 10 fire. That's full charge.
Yep. Thank you for keeping us honest here, chat. Unfortunately, we're watching 2 runs at the same time, so we can't catch everything.
And tracking.
Yes, and we're also tracking. Chanigan actually had a pretty clear path to Wyvern. Not too many enemy encounters. That's a blessing and a curse. That means he's only level 13 going into this fight, which means he's not going to have a lot of spell charges on Ben, though I did not see him pick up any good spells yet either. Picked up an elixir, though, which could potentially put Kaylee 2 check on the table for our runners for Go mode.
And CzaR is doing really good with this ice golem so far. Playing very safe, keeping very well healed.
Putting that Giant's Axe to work. I think that's the strongest attack he has available to him at this moment. Jumbo bombs would be good if he wants consistent damage, since bombs can never miss. But we're really just kind of putting in the work there. And Chanigan picks up Flare, a great spell to have on every boss except for Wyvern. Unfortunate. Now, it is still going to do 900 damage to this dragon. It's not bad at all. It's probably the most powerful attack he has, just not as powerful as it would be for any other boss, and he's only going to have like 1 or 2 charges going into this fight.
I think it's going to do like roughly like 872? No, it did over 1,000.
Yeah, it looks like our Wyvern might have rolled a little bit low in the defense department, so this is going to be pretty nice for Chanigan, though the breath attacks, man. I don't know what it's been with the simple shuffle lately. It has been leaving a lot of the vanilla attacks in place for our boss monster specifically. Wyvern's vanilla moveset is not nice at all. So it's a bit of a hurdle to overcome, though with Ruben 2, it's being a lot nicer than it could be. Meanwhile, CzaR has made short work of Ice Golem over there. Let's see what he's rewarded with. Some pure potions. So I believe CzaR has also managed to grab every check available to him in here, so he's on his way out. He could basically leave leave Aquarian now. I don't think there's anything else besides Squidite that he has on the table. I'll be interested to see where he decides to go next. If he's going to go ahead and just go straight for the Phoebe 2 upgrade, or if he's going to go ahead and explore Fireberg.
Personally, for me, I'll go for the Phoebe 2 upgrade. You can clear out much of the game before you have to go through do Rubin's check or anything, and you say those to last. You might have a good chance of finding what you need, but did we find something to mine that we do need? That's what we've got.
Yes, so
The
Ruben,
Aegis Shield.
Yeah,
was
Ruben
there.
handed out life, and I believe there was another item
I think it was
at
the,
that check in mines.
oh no, not the Aegis Shield. What was it? We'll find out again when we get there.
Ooh, Steel Sword. Another dud check. Chanigan getting lucky with that placement. That was almost a reset on his end. He had a paralyzed Ben and two very low low HP partners, but managed to bring it back. Wyvern in phase 2 now. The only thing he's got to look out for is neither of his party has petrification resistance. Ben getting petrified there almost as if I cursed it. I'm sorry this has happened 10 minutes ago. You can't blame me for that.
I'd say you just go all in, just attack with weight at this point.
Yeah, Chanigan deciding to go all in on the damage. Let's hope it pays off for him. And it does, pulling it out with the clutch. That's 2 bosses down for Chanigan. CzaR stopping by. I did not see what color this battleground was.
I believe it was blue.
So going to go ahead and make this battleground check. Exit.
Ooh, exit.
That is a huge reward. I think CzaR's kicking himself in the butt for not grabbing that first on his way to those 2 dungeons. Better late than never, though. Exit is a great utility spell. It can banish enemies to the Shadow Realm. It can go ahead and warp you out of dungeons from the very bottom. And a new feature that's been added to the randomizer, if you're on the overworld, and regardless of if you have white charges or not, if you are stuck or soft locked potentially, you can use exit and warp directly back to the level forest. Again, that costs no charges. You could just open your inventory from the overworld, use exit, and bada bing, bada boom, you're back at the beginning. So while our runners have no potential of being soft locked, since we're not doing overworld shuffle or anything like that, that can still be used to get quickly back to Foresta if our runners need to check Kaylee or level forest for any reason.
Interesting fact about all of that, I believe I was the first one to give him the idea for the exit and the overworld.
Yeah, no, I think you got soft lock and we had to figure out a way to get you out of it. So thank you for getting stuck. Your contribution is valuable as always.
It's only like my 3rd time. I had the
CzaR?
chest. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say,
Wait.
CzaR making a bold move here, dipping into level forest, the alive forest with BB1. Chanigan shaking his head, also I think kicking himself a little bit for not going for exit first, but he's got it now, and he is potentially going to make up some time by having it before going into Pyramid and Winter Cave. Although CzaR is going to make up a good amount of time over Chanigan by having it before going into Mines and Lava Dome. So we'll see how that shakes out for both of our runners at the end of the day.
Now, do we know if CzaR has the Mobius quest?
I do not believe so. I think Chanigan picked up the Mobius Crest in Volcano.
Okay.
So CzaR only has Libra Crest, which is going to go ahead and limit some of his options for making some checks here.
No, I have to say, very risky going into the tree this early.
Yeah. Tree can be a little confusing for some runners.
Oh.
There's Thunder, not the wizard spell you want to run. Especially folks who haven't been running the randomizer a lot or run vanilla recently. Tree's layout can be a little confusing with all the jumping and hopping around and memorizing all the brown box locations for potential checks. So that room that CzaR decided to not go into right before the meteor chest has 2 chests in it he could have checked. Opting to dip out though. I think CzaR feels like he's gotten everything he can out of this. He's going to go ahead and dip out. I'll be interested to see if Chanigan decides to just 2-shot Squidite. He has Flare. He could just fry up some calamari really quick and dip if he feels like it. It's going to cost a little bit of time still, but not nearly as much as if you were to fight him without Flare.
Can I get some ranch for the side for that calamari?
Look, man, marinara or nothing. That's all I'm going to say on the matter.
I would go with ranch, Theo.
Fair.
More for you. More for me.
To each their own. But yeah, Squidite, not going to put up too much of a fight here. Chanigan opting to go the thorough path, not taking any chances here. CzaR, meanwhile, checking Windia now, grabbing everything he can, getting rewarded with Meteor from the inn. That is a great spell to have, especially for the dual-headed Hydra fight. Going to be cranking out 1600 plus damage per cast when he does eventually go and clear Lava Dome. So again, another great instance of divergence paying off for CzaR here in different ways. Chanigan, meanwhile, is going to melt a snowman. His fight against Golem is going to take like literally a turn or two, and getting seeds from the reward from Squidite, which if you're going to get a brown box from a boss that you don't really have to fight, better to get that than anything else, I think.
I do want to note that the Venus key is on the CzaR and Windia.
We'll see. Windhole Temple actually having something, and appropriate